Hello, welcome to episode 12 of the Blindsided podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about accountability. Now, don't shut it off. This isn't as painful as it might sound. It's going to be fun. We're going to talk about why and how it, how it helps us be more productive and develop, and personally and professionally develop, and it improves happiness, success. So, hang in there. It's going to be a good one today. My name is Charlie Collins. I am a coach. I am an international speaker, co founder of Thriving Blind Academy, and just grateful. And today, Brenda.
Good morning, Charlie. Hi, everybody. My name is Brenda. I'm founder of Time for a 10. We are an emotional awareness intelligence coaching service. And what we do is we have accountability buddies, and we teach people how to challenge their conditioned thinking so that they can identify their emotions and lead a happier life. Identify and kind of be able to manage those emotions, especially the hard ones. So happy to be here. Excited about this topic today, Charlie.
Thank you. And I just one thing I know we're going to talk about accountability buddies. Sometimes we don't look at them as buddies, but we'll get into that. And I'm going to switch us down to the wider format. And we're going to. So I'm going to start off like I usually do with a little story.
Here we go.
And then we will launch into our different areas that we want to kind of unpack this accountability. So back in the early 90s, when I started working at a motorcycle dealership, I was selling, and I knew some stuff, but I didn't know what my customers knew, and I didn't know what they knew until they came in and started saying, I remember there was a Kawasaki ZX7. It was this tricked out sport, one of those, I guess we called them crotch rockets. And it was this really fast motorcycle that people were coming in to see. And a customer came in and he started telling me about the adjustable suspension. And I'm agreeing with him. And he's like, does this have the 4 or 6 piston caliper front brake? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I didn't say that. I'm like, yes, it has a front brake. And in that moment, that person, I was felt my first feeling of accountability, not being prepared. He was my first, somebody showing me that I know more than you and you're the sales guy. And it was an uncomfortable feeling. So my first thing was self-accountability, which is I can do for certain things in my life. What did I do then? I went back to the mechanics in the business and I said, how do I learn? I mean, I've read the flyer. I've read what the company puts out, but these people coming in, they know details. They know more than me. And I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be embarrassed. I should know the product so I can help educate the customer to help them make the right decision. And I make a sale. And he said, well, you first want to start reading the owner's manuals and you want to get magazines. And the magazines, this is before the internet, by the way. You couldn't just search, the magazines would do this teardown of the motorcycles. And I started doing it. And back then I had a CCTV, magnified the print, and I read and I read and I read, and I started understanding why a 6-piston caliper was better than a 2-piston, because it applied more pressure to the brake pad, which gave you better stopping power and performance you need, and it was like, and I started feeling so much more confident.
What a great story, Charlie. Yeah, you started out by saying, you were agreeing with the customer when the customer would say something. And then it came to the caliper and you didn't know the answer, but you didn't want to tell him you didn't know the answer. And I think that brings up a really important point. And the point is how uncomfortable that we are in being accountable, in being able to say, I don't know. And one of the greatest gifts that has come out of doing this work is being able to say to somebody and be completely comfortable with it and not define my worth by it. is I don't know. I don't know, but I can get back to you. I can get that answer for you. And it's no longer a reflection on my self-worth or whether I'm smart or not, or all those other things I used to drag into a situation like that and get really nervous that I didn't know the answer. But it took doing the work to be able to get to that place.
Yes, because self-centeredness was why I wasn't willing or even know to say I don't know. I certainly didn't say I'm going to circle back on that. But I definitely would not have said I don't know. I mean, I have to know. You're coming to me. But boy, how freeing is that, Brenda, when I can say I'm not sure of that, but I can tell you one thing. I want to learn and I'm going to find out that information. If you want to give me your name and number, and I will get back to you with the answers to what you're looking for. But when I was full of self and I didn't know there was another way, I took it personal. I started beating myself up. What an idiot. So I had to say, yeah, I know. No, maybe, I might say things that were just to protect him knowing I don't know. And boy, that always caused more problems. Never more peace.
Right. Right. Whenever we're not honest about what's really going on, it causes more problems. And what I've noticed in life, I have a couple of good stories for you, is that we're not alone in that. We're not alone in not knowing. For example, and this is a great example. I developed lumbar scoliosis. I was running a lot and I didn't know my right leg was shorter and ended up giving me spine problems. And when I knew I had to have surgery, I went to 7 doctors, 7 of them. 4 out of the 7 doctors misdiagnosed my spinal condition. 4 out of the 7. Now, these are people that are supposed to know. They're supposed to know the right answer, right? They're going to cut me open and they're going to do something to my body. 4 out of the 7 didn't. Now, I interviewed 7 because I was very aware at that time that not everyone's going to know. I want to make sure I get a second opinion. And when the first and second opinion didn't match, I got a third opinion. Anyway, so I did that footwork to make sure that I got the right doctor to do the right surgery. And it worked out really well. I had it in 2006 and I'm thriving. But this is not knowing happens to everybody, not just me or you. It happens to everybody. They don't know.
Yeah. And our knowingness can really create struggle. Our knowingness, as in I don't know, but the mind says I know, and it creates struggle. Life. What is accountability? What is people like to measure. They like to manage accounts. They like to look at numbers. They like to see progress. We as humans, we're built to grow, to go, to move, to develop, to do a lot in life. I mean, heck, life best lived is life by design. And but we're going to get feedback. We're going to be held accountable no matter what. Life, whether it's sore joints, putting on weight, lack of relationships, feeling I don't want to reach out to people, starting to isolate. Like, you're going to get accountability for the way we're living life. I was a rudderless ship. I would just wake up and see where the winds and the current and the people and the problems and the things brought me that day. And I would never hold myself accountable. I just thought, poor me. And I think that this topic, it could be, why? Why would I want, Brenda, why would I ask you, hey, Brenda, I want to start going to bed at a certain time because I really need to get some more sleep. I'm feeling a little sluggish in the morning. And as a coach, like, you might ask me, well, are you eating past a certain time? How much water are you drinking? Are you doing a meditation? Are you clearing your mind? Are you going to sleep? And are you waking up with a fresh, that type stuff? And okay, I see, I have a plan. I have somebody that can help me see what I'm not seeing. Because as you always say, and this conditioned mind, this way the person I am, my knowingness of me at this time. I need someone to help me break free of that and to see what I'm not seeing and gently, lovingly, and help guide me to a better path where I can then ask, can you help hold me accountable to this?
Absolutely. You brought up a couple of really good points I want to touch on. One is, if you do what you always do, you're going to get what you always got, or get, however that goes. So if you're going to keep living the same way, thinking the same way, not being accountable, or the other thing that you said was telling yourself a story rather than looking at the truth. So I know what the right thing is, but I'm going to pretend I don't, and I'm going to act on that. Those are things that we need to be willing to change. We need to be willing to change. And that's where an accountability buddy comes in. It's people that are, because being an accountability buddy doesn't only help you. So you and I are accountability buddies for each other. So I might call you and run something by you, and you will give me honest, open feedback about that. And most of the time you give me the honest, open feedback by asking me honest, open questions that get me to look at the reality I'm not willing to look at. Now, why am I not willing to look at? One simple reason: I don't like change. That's it. I don't like change. I've been going down this path. The path is laid out. I know where the beginning is. I know where the end is. I know where every rock is on that path. That's the path I want to go. And with an accountability buddy, when I come to you with something, you say, hey, we're going to look at this differently. We're going to go down a new path. Let's try these glasses on. Let's see it through a different lens, a lens that isn't mine. And I got to tell you, Charlie, 10 out of 10 times I leave a conversation like that, having learned something incredible. And I get excited about what I've learned, because really it equates to freedom. And you leave the conversation feeling just exuberated that you've been able to be of service to somebody today, because you've allowed God to flow through you to help another person who's suffering with something. It's just a beautiful way to expand and grow.
This is another thing they don't teach us in school or growing up, at
Mhm.
least. But I certainly was held accountable growing up in my with my parents. I was certain times to be home, a certain way the room had to be kept, the gardens had to be. So, and if I didn't, there were consequences, and that was terrible. Gosh, I remember saying to my parents, when I have kids, I will never be as mean as you guys. And then I remember saying, oh my gosh, I am the exact same. Why? Because that structure, that discipline, that stuff that seems the worst thing when I'm younger or facing this is the most beautiful thing. Back in 2008, when I was at a conference, at the end of it, they said, we're going to put you in groups of 6. This is a mastermind / accountability group. Now, they explained it all on stage, and I thought it was great. It sounded wonderful. Wow. Going at it alone is tough. So now we're going to be in a group. There's 6 of us. We're exchanging phone numbers, time zones, and all that good stuff, because there were over 400 people in this conference. So each of us got to go. This is where I'm from. This is what I'm doing. And what is one thing you would like us as a group to hold you accountable to? And it was like, oh, okay. And I started, Brendan, that was my journey of being transparent. I don't know. I need help, and I'm willing to allow you to help me. But most of all, and please offer me constructive criticism or feedback to help put me back on course.
Excellent. That's excellent. I didn't have such a profound experience like that. It really, for me, the first experience with accountability was trying to get sober. I blamed my substance use disorder on my childhood and all this stuff that went on in life, which had nothing to do really with my substance use disorder. I drank and because I liked the way it made me feel. It was really that simple. I felt good when I was drinking. I wasn't feeling anything else. But for years, I blamed that on everybody else, until I found myself completely alone with no friends, no family, and having pretty much burned my life to the ground. And there was no one to blame but me. And that was my first experience with accountability. And then, of course, as the years went by and I did the work in recovery and more years went by and more years went by, that accountability became first and foremost in my mind. What I learned is that I can't trust my first 10 thoughts on anything. That's accountability. So my lens, I learned because of that experience, was always skewed. It was always skewed by my own personal experiences, by my own trauma, by my own conditioned thinking, the learned behaviors I got in my family of origin, society, racism, all those things that are ingrained in our culture. And they're all ingrained in our culture, was part of my repertoire that I had to now challenge on a regular basis. So it started with coming into recovery. And now, on a regular basis today, I remain accountable as part of my lifestyle by doing an inventory of my disturbances on a regular basis, which means daily whenever they come up, so that I can remain in truth and not in that place where I'm okay with pretending. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it starts with aim. We're all aiming in a direction. What is your aim? What is, the ready, aim, fire is, but my thing in life was I couldn't fire because I was too busy trying to find the perfect aim. Because if I fire and I do it wrong, or because I'm going at it alone, so in business and things, so if I just got to keep aiming and perfection and aim, because once you fire, then you're opening yourself up to failure, to judgment, to other people's opinions, and I was stuck in aim for a long time. Then I read a book, Ready, Fire, Aim. And I thought, oh, that is very good. So I started seeking a different way. I started asking for help. I started, Brenda, let's keep it simple. All right. So business and all, but I want to walk 3 days a week, 1.5 miles. And I need to get to that. Well, I have an accountability buddy, right? I say, hey, Sue, here's my deal. Would you do me a favor on Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Can I send you a text by 5 p.m. letting you know that I will have achieved this? And now on Wednesday, when the second walk is coming, and I'm thinking, I got a lot to do, and then I got to do this, and the dog, and all these things start building up. And then I have this thought, oh no, I got to text Sue at 5 that I've done this. I can't have an excuse for Sue. She's not going to accept that. I already was transparent, told her I'm going to need your help holding me accountable. That's where I started to really grow, because I wanted to show up as a person that was following through on my word.
That's great, Charlie. That's a great place to start. I did the same thing. I put a notice in my calendar, a reminder in my calendar, a daily reminder to do something, and it pops up on my screen. And that's how I started, like, making myself accountable, by doing that, by putting a reminder in my calendar to do something. And it's to meditate during the day when I'm at work. And I actually do it. I do it when it comes up at 11 o'clock. I put my headset on and I meditate. And when it comes to, I started small too. Initially it was about going to meetings. And then initially, after that, when I had acquired a bunch of sobriety, it was about doing step 10 and step 11 on a regular basis. So I buddied up with somebody in the program and said, we're going to do every day for 90 days. We're going to get on the phone and we're going to review any kind of disturbance that we have together. And we did that every day for 90 days until it became a habit. So it became a habit. I had an accountability buddy help me create a habit. It takes 30 days. I think it's actually 28 days to create a habit. And we did that together. And now we both do it as part of our lifestyle. And having an accountability buddy and again, I started out with the small things, but what happens now when you start doing that over a period of time, your intuition tells you, because you're used to checking yourself, right? You get used to it. And so when something isn't quite right, your intuition, something goes off. You get a feeling in your body, or you get a little anxious, or something like that happens. And I know now that that is my cue to get on the phone and reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm not feeling quite right. Can we talk about it? Because if I let that stuff settle in and I don't take care of it by reaching out and connecting with another human being, it grows inside of me, and it'll grow until I act out on it in a way that I don't want to, whether it's, snapping at somebody, or getting irritated in the grocery store, or speeding on the highway, or getting mad when someone cuts me off. So having a regular accountability buddy for me, and I have a whole network of them. That's kind of what we do on Time for a 10 is, people come into this coaching service with us, and we encourage them to do 5 or 6 one-on-one sessions. And then we put them in the group Zoom so that now they can have access to multiple accountability buddies, because we don't want them to have reliance on any one person. That's not what this is about. It's not having that one go-to person that you can run things by. It's having a community and a network of people that you can call at any time to go through something, to help you work something out, to set a goal with, to be accountable with, to challenge your thinking, to give you a different perspective, whatever it may be. And for me, it has changed my life in so many ways, broadened my perspective, expanded my spiritual connection. It's just, there's the benefits. I can go on and on about the benefits.
And you're going to fail, as in I had an accountability partner that for 5 years, 5 days a week, I spoke every morning at the same time. We had an Excel document and we went through it. Here's what I was holding him and he was holding me. It wasn't a friendship. We became friends, but this is a partner, a buddy, or a community. They're not going to rub your back and tell you it's going to be okay. Hey, you committed to this. You want to grow. You want to get better in this area. All these things. So if you want me to be your buddy, then I'm going to hold you to that. If you don't want that, don't ask. Don't pretend. Play full out. And this guy, I'm like, I don't want to call him because I didn't do my one thing on there. And now I'm trying to run a story. What can I get him to believe? Because I don't believe me, but maybe he'll believe me. And then I finally say, Denny, I didn't do it. He said, what did you make more important than the commitment to this? And I was like, it was so it's like, okay, I get it. What did I allow? What did I put in front of me? What didn't I believe about the commitment I made? And it slowly just broke me down to, because living life with that, like transparency and freedom of the bondage of self, it allows me to say, it allows me to grow. That's all. I don't get stuck in this prison of my own mind.
So true. So true. Charlie, you said something really important here. And that was, initially, you didn't want to tell the truth about why you didn't keep the commitment. And I have had that happen so many times. And the beautiful thing with having a network of people, of course, I started out with one accountability buddy and it grew, but having a network of people like that, what happens is they will ask the question. Well, not only, because I would share with mine, I really wanted to lie about this. I let it all hang out, really wanted to lie to you about this. And they'll say, well, why did you want to lie? And I'll say, well, because I was afraid of what you were going to think of me.
Yeah.
And so what happens in these situations, and then my accountability buddy kept peeling that onion. And the next question was, well, what does it mean about you? What do you tell yourself about yourself that you didn't keep this commitment? So what is the internal dialogue that goes on when you fail or you make a mistake? Because that's why you want to lie, right? Because you don't want people to think that you're not perfect. And then we peel that onion and you get at some of the root causes of why you behave this way and how to get rid of that. Because wanting to lie, and I've done it many times, like me, I'm not going to give specific examples. We don't have enough time, but it's always because of fear, and identifying what are you really afraid of. By the time we peel that onion is what I'm trying to say. By the time we get to the end of that, there really isn't anything to feel. I get to make mistakes. I'm supposed to make mistakes. How many kids touch the hot stove? All of them. Why? Because that's how we learn, by making mistakes, And so I've gotten really comfortable as a result of doing this, or gotten really comfortable with making mistakes and being able to share the inner dialogue that goes on in being accountable for those mistakes with somebody else who's loving and compassionate and has also made the same mistakes, and can say, all right, so what can we learn from this? Instead of, oh, I can't believe you did that, you're awful. No, what can we learn from it? Be curious about it. I say that all the time. Be curious about it.
Yeah, and going at it alone, and it's like, oh man, those people that are trying to build the case of why their life is, it's not their fault, something outside of them. Oh, I believe me. Why am I so in tune to that? Because that was me. So I'm not better than, I'm not higher than, I'm not anything, but I do know what it's like to show up with a story every day of why I'm stuck, why I'm failing, why everybody is out to get me, why life is so unfair, why legal blindness is a curse. And all those stories started to just melt away when I got honest. And it was first with me. Is this who I am? Is this what God created me to be? A little baby? No, he did not. No, I am not taking responsibility for the thoughts. I'm not taking responsibility for my behavior, and I'm not taking responsibility for the way I feel. And those are the things I can. So I need help. I can't just wake up, hear a podcast like this and go, oh, here's the formula. It's a process. I love saying it the Canadian way. It's a process. and it starts with step one. What's your aim? Think of a scope or a pair of binoculars. What do you want to lock onto? A better version of you? A better relationship with somebody in your life? What is it that you want to put those binoculars on and say, that's my aim? And I want to get there. I can begin with the end in mind. I know what it's like to feel joy and happiness. And I'm not feeling it right now because this story I've been telling myself and trying to have you believe, it's just not working anymore. So I'm just going to step into a better version of me. And I know I'm not going to do it perfectly, but I know people will help love me and guide me to a better version of me.
Yeah, so true.
For
And
only,
you're pretty great, Charlie. I have to tell you, you're pretty great.
oh, stop it. For only $397 an hour. I forgot. I'm a business coach.
You are a business coach. You're a good one too. Yeah, this is really important stuff. And it really was very different in the beginning and very challenging to expose myself to another human being. And I did it in small pieces. I did it in small digestible pieces. I started with little things. And you nailed it, Charlie. I started with little things that I was saying to myself. And I would ask, just pausing. And we've talked about this so many times on multiple podcasts now about the gift that pause gives. Pausing and asking, is that even true? The thought that I just had. And I do that frequently. I just interrogate the thought. Is it true what I'm thinking? And 9 out of 10 times it is not true. It's something that's coming up from the past. Like, I mean, a good example is, I'll be driving along and I take this beautiful route to come home from work. And it's in these mountains in Danbury and it's absolutely gorgeous. And sometimes I cry. It's so beautiful. And then out of the blue, my monkey mind, something will pop into my head about a conversation I had that upset me, say, weeks ago. And for a second, I start going down that path of, I can't believe they said that. And I stop and say, wait, is that even true? Is that even true that they did something to you? And the answer is no. It's how I received the information, because that's what I've learned from all that. I received the information in a way that wasn't useful to me because I was living in the past. If I can just say instead, let's say somebody says something nasty to me. Okay. So the worst thing is they're having a bad day. None of it's about me. So they had a bad day. They were snarky. Have I ever done that? Mm-hmm. Have I done it more than once? Mm-hmm. Have I behaved worse than that person did that day? Oh, yeah. Was it ever about them? Nope. It was about me when I behaved that way. So I could be having a day like that, and I can have a thought pop in, and I could stop it dead center and say, is that even true? And again, the answer is no, it's not true. And then I just move on. But it takes practice. And now the days that I can't move on, when I'm still like I'm home now after my drive, and it's still right. I don't hang on to it. I immediately get on the phone and I work it through with an accountability buddy, because there are days when I just cannot trust my own thinking for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter why. I'm just not in that spiritual place where I can challenge my belief system. And that's where I need the help.
And there's a bond. There's this spiritual energy when we're doing this work with people, with people we're holding accountable, or people that are holding us. This transparency, and when these barriers, these denials, these walls break down, this connection, this love, this peace of mind, this serenity that we drop into is freaking amazing. That was the high I was going for a lot in life. And I looked for it outside of me and buy another thing and find this one and do that and get a faster this and short lived. But man, what a difference. And Brenda, what are we hiding? Why? What is it so terrible about us that we need to hide? And then we need to create a story so you don't see it. But guess what? Healthy people do. We kind of know. And maybe, and we're not saying you're a loser. We're saying I've been there. I know what it's like to hide. I know what it's like to build a case, a story, and a paradigm and a facade. So you see me differently than I think you see me. I need you to believe I'm okay, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't have to play that game anymore. It's so freaking freeing. I am what I am. And I can only improve from that point. And if I'm being rude to somebody or I'm being short, I owe an amends. If I don't make that amends, then shame on me. Hopefully that person says, I didn't like the way you treated me. I had somebody recently do that, sent me a text message and shared their feelings. And I brought tears to my eyes because it allowed me to see something I wasn't seeing and come back with my loving response. Not like, oh yeah, I'll teach you. Don't you ever show me something I don't want to see, darn it.
You bring up something that we just talked about. Our coaching team just talked about this the other day, and it's called Jade. I think it's called Jade. Yeah, I might mess this up because it's a new concept that we're exploring in our group. And it's when we justify, attack, defend, or explain, we are in our inner child. That is a child's way of reacting to any kind of accountability, right? That's what they do. And what is really going on that we feel the need to not expose ourselves to somebody else, to not tell the truth. So what is it that we're so afraid of, Charlie? What is it for you? Or what was it?
Well, so the conversation, I'm a loser, I'm never gonna, all that, and I didn't want you to see that about me. So I didn't want you to see that I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't good enough, I wasn't fast enough, I wasn't tall enough, that not enough of a person, because I needed to think that way. So I thought everyone else around me thought you must be enough or I don't like you.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the reality. It was going out there. Is it true? No. Who would I be without that thought? Well, I have no idea because I had to do the work to get to that place. And I want to say something, Brenda. In when I do my sessions, like corporate events and stuff, I'll ask people. We're going to play a little game. We get partners, right? Okay, A and B. So there's people. They match up, right? And they sit face knee to knee. They lock in. And then I say, okay, the person with the shortest hair, you go first. You're A, and A has to ask B, what are three things you can't do? And I give all examples. So I can't get to the bottom of my inbox. I can't get to the gym 3 times a week. I can't seem to eat healthy every day. I can't make a call to someone I love every week because I'm just so darn busy. So person A says to the person, okay, what is something you can't do? Okay, I can't get to the, and then the person they do it, then the B asks A, right? So now we both got our, I just can't get to it all. And then I say, now ask that, I want you to answer, I want you to now replace what those I can'ts were with I won't. And you can hear the energy like, oh, that sucks. I won't get to the bottom of my inbox. I won't get to the gym 4 times a week. I won't make that call every week. And why won't you? Because there's something. Can I commit? Can I make a change? Can I get accountability? It is the secret weapon. I want to be a better person. I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. But left to my own devices, I will now start to create the story of why today's a good day to stay home and pet my dog and tell him why it's okay that I'm not going to the gym. I know you agree with me because you don't talk. I don't want to have to build that story and be that guy anymore. Now, I don't commit or I don't ask for accountability around things that are way. I mean, they've grown. Like you said, we started small and they get bigger. Because all of a sudden I realize I can be and do and experience a whole lot more in life when I get honest.
So true, Charlie. And how much easier would it be to get to the gym 3 times a week if you said, hey, Bren, I'll meet you at the gym at 5. Or, hey, Kate, I'll meet you at the gym at 5 the next time. You have people that can join you on this journey of being accountable. And then you work together with that person, helping you guys help each other. And when you were talking about, what is it you don't want people to see? I'm not good enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. It's really, we're afraid we're not going to be loved, Charlie. I'm not going to be loved if people see who I really am. And what I have discovered in my own life is we're all in the same boat. Most of us carry all the same fears about, I'm not good enough. They're not going to love me. I'm not going to be liked.
Yeah.
It's all the same stuff. So I'm going to read some of these chats because they're pouring in here. Imagination Awakening. Good morning. Boom. That's a gold nugget right there. Taking your God-given ability to make an account for your health rather than giving that power away. Discovering what you don't know to build your own account. Great comment. Kate says, good morning. She says accountability definitely works. That's how she lost weight, and she needs to be accountable again. So good job. Good job being accountable, guys.
And Brenda, as we like to say, it works if you work it.
Very true. Very true.
And let me feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. It is not easy to receive, but in a loving and honest place, like, hey, you asked for my help. Do you want it, or do you want me to rub your back and tell you it's going to be okay? Because I can't lie to you. It's not. Because just not walking that day, and then the next week I'd miss another day. Maybe I'm not dying because of it. I'm not getting sicker. I'm just maintaining a little bit, but it's what it does to me mentally, spiritually, and eventually physically. And in our program, when the spiritual malady, what's a malady? It's a disconnect. It's I'm isolating. I'm out on this rudderless ship all alone with no oar and blaming the ocean for not making me happy.
I
And
love that.
gosh
Great.
darn, this water is too cold. It's too hot. It's too wavy. It's just nothing was ever the right way. And I lost where I was going with that. So now it's your turn.
Okay, I'll pick it up from there. And being accountable, for me, most of the pain that I suffered, the internal pain, the anguish, the despair, all of those things, what are the last thoughts I'm thinking about when I go to sleep at night? Weren't about really performance. It was about what somebody said or how somebody treated me, or why were my parents, why was my dad so abusive? I came from I had a really abusive childhood, and my dad was really violent. And I don't have to take it any further than that. But for the longest time, of course, as a kid, you internalize that and you make that about you. There must be something wrong with me that my parent is treating me this way. I'm not lovable. And this is the point of this story, is the accountability buddy. So I was complaining one day. I was crying. I was very upset. I had experienced a memory, and I was sharing it with her. And this is what she said to me. And this is why accountability buddies are so important. She said, and it was about my father had been violent this one day, and the memory had come up. And she said, very lovingly, she said, if you took yourself out of that picture, plucked yourself out, and you put anybody else in there, any one of your siblings or anybody else, would your dad have behaved any differently? Now, when she said that, I stopped, and I had never stopped my entire life. And I said, no, he would not have behaved any differently. And then she looked at me and she said, then it wasn't about you. So in that moment of having somebody else explain this to me through their lens, I was immediately relieved of all of this. It was my fault. It was about me. I'm not lovable. He didn't love me. All of that vanished. And forgiveness was able to ensue from that point forward. It took time, but I saw the whole thing differently. Can you imagine the impact that has had on my life moving forward from that place? Priceless. Don't have words to even describe the spiritual and emotional and mental growth that came as a result of that one conversation, somebody else's perspective on something that had haunted me my whole life.
Because you aren't going to break free of that until somebody helped you see it differently.
Yes. And I was getting something out of holding on to that version of the story.
Yeah.
Another thing to think about. I didn't have to be accountable as long as I was a victim.
Right, exactly. I can justify why I'm behaving this way because I was abused.
Bingo.
And you're like, how do I react? What happens when I believe that thought? Well, sadly, it releases chemicals in my body. I feel, things are going well in my life. So let me bring that one in. And then I settle into it is what, it's like the story changes because the truth will always set us free.
Yeah, it does.
And Brenda, I just go back to, what are you hiding? What am I hiding? What am I not willing to put out there to ask for help or to grow and get better with? Well, that's what I ask when I'm working with people. What is it you don't want me to know? We did a group once, and the leader of it said, all right, tell something to this group that nobody knows about you. I'm like, I kind of like that stuff, but that was not, but it was like, I could see people freaking out. Like, I wasn't going to judge that part. I felt so connected when people said, I'm flawed. I got some warts. I've made some mistakes. I've really screwed up. I've filed bankruptcy. I've lost everything, but I'm not a loser. I'm here today and I want to grow.
And that's really important. It's not important, doesn't even do it justice.
No.
In my own mind, these secrets, right? These things that I'm not going to tell anybody, when I did share them, the freedom and the joy and the release I got from unburdening that, number one, is transformative in and of itself. But number two, when I shared these things with somebody else, their perspective on what I had done was completely different than mine was. My perception was I'm a horrible person, and I had blown it up into this big, huge thing when it really wasn't a big, huge thing. So not only does sharing that stuff give you a new perspective, but you get to see it from a different light. And I don't know, I saw myself differently after I shared that, because I wasn't the person I thought I was. I wasn't the person that I was defining myself to be by whatever that secret was. I am not defined by those things. I was defining myself by them.
Brenda, you are only as sick as.
My secrets.
Oh, and you know, we work where we aren't bringing those to our ending. We aren't going to meet our maker with anything like that in our consciousness, our body keeps the score, right? So if we want to be freed from the bondage of self, um, it starts with, what is it one thing I'd like to do that I'm afraid, but I'm willing to ask for help. I'm willing to ask somebody to help hold me accountable. And it's not going to be big. It's going to be something little, but I'm going to start building a little momentum in my life. And that's how it starts. And, we can help. We can rewatch this. I know I have more inventory, more looking at myself to do, because that's the only way I can then take another step up the ladder.
Yep. And a good place to start, I have found, and when I work with clients that are just learning about emotional awareness, I have them practice saying, I don't know. I don't know, whether it's at work or at home, or when you don't know something, just say, I don't know, and see how that feels.
And Brenda, when I'm working with people too, and I'll say, so what do you think would help height, something, and I don't know, and I'll say, well, if you did know, and then they give you the answer, because they want to not know, because if they give me, like in school, teacher would ask a question, I knew the answer, but what happens if one word or the way I said a word wasn't, and I got teased, So a lot of people, where you're saying, I don't know, is the truth. But we say that too, it's because I don't want to be vulnerable. I don't want to talk more about it. I just don't know. Well, if you did know, oh, that's not fair. Don't ask me that. It does wonders. But I know where you're coming from, because I love the I don't know mind, because it allows me to then be present, to be open, and to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And what you'll find too, as you start opening up in this way, what I found and what a number of people I know have found, is we can all identify. We think of other people as so different from ourselves, so different, like better or less or whatever it is that we do. And really, they're not. They can all identify. They can all identify in one way or another.
And before we end, Brenda, I want to ask, have you ever compared yourself to anyone?
Oh gosh, about 15 minutes ago. Yeah, of course.
Okay. So did you come out, when you compared, you come out on top or you come out below, right? That's how we compare. That's the reason I compare myself, because I'm either better than or worse than. And why would you compare to come out the same? But you're saying right now that you're not alone, that our thoughts, we're all pretty similar.
Yeah.
We're very unique, but our struggles, our lying, our hiding, it's all going to come out eventually, um, once you step into this world of, I don't know.
Yeah. And again, I want to say it all ties back to fear. When I'm better than somebody else, now I feel like I'm in control. Why do I need to be in control? Because I'm afraid. When I'm less than somebody else, I have no control and I don't have to do anything. And why do I want to be in that place? Because I'm afraid. Right? When I'm on the same level with somebody, there's nothing to fear. And that's a beautiful place to be. And we can get to that place by having accountability buddies,
I
sharing
think,
our insides with somebody else.
yeah, because It isn't selfish. You're not a pain in the neck. The person who has accepted the challenge on the other end to be your guide to help you, whether you're hiring a coach, you're just going to a friend, you want to, as Kate said, you want to jump on a weight loss thing, or somebody wants to read more or do some whatever that deal is. I can tell you that the Samsonite luggage, the thing we're dragging around, it just starts to lighten up, and a glow of this skin, some bright eyed, something starts to shift in the spirit. The power within us starts to say, "Hi, I'm here. I love you, and I want to help you."
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I've got nothing, Charlie. That's a great place to end. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I guess I couldn't have planned that if I tried.
No, you couldn't. Let me say thank you again to Trish and Kate and Imagination the Awakening. Kate also said we all need to grow. It's ongoing. And Trish is talking about the body keeps the score. And thanks for the reminder, Charlie.
Yeah. No, thank you all for showing up. And we have streamed this on many platforms. Brenda's put it on. I put it on. We have comments coming in. We get email. It's a wonderful, thank you to the technology today. We could focus on doing this, Brenda, and not worry about all the heavy lifting of putting it out there. We just build the system, the process, and then trust and rely that it's going to work. And it seems to be. But I appreciate everybody showing up today. I think next week we might focus a little bit more in on fear, and that might be from the beach, but we'll let you know more about what's happening. And if you've gotten value out of this, please go ahead and share this. Invite friends next week. Invite, just put it out there. Help us, help others.
Beautiful. And I just want to say one last thing, Charlie. I keep forgetting to mention that At Time for a 10 is a YouTube channel that we have, and there's lots of psychology, educational videos and tools, emotional awareness tools that you can watch the video and just get some really good free education on some of the things that we're talking about. So go enjoy At Time for a 10 on YouTube, please.
You all
Like
got
and subscribe.
All right. See ya.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.